Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Crokinole, this giant wooden board in front of you that was made in 1876. Well, the game Crokinole was made in 1876, not the board. The board is definitely not from 1876. I think it's from 2023, maybe 2022. I'd have to see exactly when I got this, but we're getting a little sidetracked, a little off topic over here. Although the 1876 thing, that's at least according to Board Game Geek. I didn't actually check Wikipedia. Not that Wikipedia is inherently more accurate. The internet says 1876, let's go with that. Invented in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, and Tracy Boards, the board I have over here, is actually from, well, the board I have over here is from Tracy Boards, which is a Canadian store. A lot of the good boards are from Canadian stores. We are getting so off topic over here. Let's go ahead and dive into this game. Let's talk about it. And starting off, this is a game I'm reviewing because it's a game that's in my top 100 games of all time, and it's been part of my goal to start reviewing, to make sure I have a review on the channel for every game that's in my top 100. I do have a gameplay of Crokinole on the channel, but I don't have a review, and I want to tell you exactly why I like this game. And make no mistake, I do like this game. But first, let's teach you how to play the game. The general idea of Crokinole, and there are a few ways to play, and I might even get some of them wrong. We'll get into that. There's a few ways to play. I'll cover what I know. I'm sure I'm going to be missing a lot of things, but the general idea is you are trying to shoot these little pucks over here into this little hole over here. And to that end, let's go ahead and try to get one in. Nope, not quite enough. Now, the good news is as a starting shot from either team has to actually, in fact, I probably should shoot from this side over here, which won't be as accurate, but it'll let me mirror both sides. Nope, that wasn't good enough. Let's go ahead and shoot. I can't do it. Let's go ahead and do it from over here. There we go. Beautiful. I'm trying to play both sides here. It's hard. Anyways, your first shot on a team has to make its way into the center ring. As long as it makes its way into the center ring, you're good. It would be great if you landed directly there. That would be 20 points locked in. You won't lose those points. This over here is 15 points. This ring is 10 points, and the outer ring is 5 points. But the worst part is not only are they fewer points, they're not even locked in. Which brings us to the other team. Once you take your first shot, the other person at the table goes ahead and takes their own shot. Again, kind of playing poorly over here. But let's go ahead and see if I can do this over here. There we go. I knocked his puck, his disc. And that's important because the second shot has to knock your opponent's disc if there is a disc on the table. That's the rule of the second, well, not necessarily second shot. If your opponent has a disc on the table, then your disc has to hit one of their discs. Where it goes from there doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be in the middle. It could be anywhere on the board. As long as it's not touching this outer line, as soon as something's touching the outer line, it's marked off into the valley over there. Players are going to go ahead back and forth taking shots. They're trying to basically set up board control. And again, I can't perfectly mirror this from this side when I'm trying to shoot from this awkward double-sided angle over here. But over here, if we go ahead and do that, that's a terrible example right there because I hit this piece and my own piece. They're actually both off the board. If you don't touch your opponent's piece, then any of your pieces that were affected, they're all going to leave. Meanwhile, my opponent goes, his only rule right now, because it's a completely clean board, is to basically get his piece into the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. And again, that's not great. It's off the board. Again, the shooting angles over here is what it is. That's the general idea of how you play basic Crokinole. Now, there are two ways to score in Crokinole. You can play to 100 points, or you can play to 9 points. I think those are the most two common ways, but let's just talk about how that works. 9 points is effectively, you're going to play a match of Crokinole. Whoever wins the match gets 2 points. If there's a tie, each side gets 1 point. You play until one side has 2 points. That's it. It doesn't matter if you win by 80 points or 5 points. If you win, you win, and you go ahead and get 2 points or 1 point for a tie. Then you go back and forth until one team has 9 points. The other way is you play to 100 points. And in that way, you're playing for the difference of points. So effectively, when a game is over, when the first match is over, if orange has, 40 points and blue has 10 points, then orange nets 30 points, 40 minus 10, they net 30 points towards their goal, towards those 100 points. You start another match, and you're always playing calculating the difference. You only ever calculate the difference, although to be clear, at the end of each match, it's cumulative, meaning you don't reduce the opponent's side to 0. If in match 1, orange got 30 points, and in match 2, blue got 20 points, you don't reduce orange to 10, you simply have 30 versus 20. You only resolve a single player earns points each match, but at the end of each match, you are slowly adding points until you get to 100. That's basic Crokinole. Then you can also play in teams, which is my personal favorite way to play. Teams, you're going to have your teammate on the opposite side of you, back and forth as you try to make sure, set yourself up for as many shots as possible, but this time you have full board control. You have full exposure to all the sides of the board as you take your shots, as you try to land them. That's basically how you play through teams. I prefer it. I like that extra board coverage. I like the setting up my teammates for shots. I like the way you have additional 4 quadrants to be mindful of, as opposed to the back and forth across in 2 players. But that's the basic idea of how you play Crokinole. From there, we're going to go ahead and dive into my review because I don't know what else there is to cover as far as rules. There may be other things or other versions or variants or other types of stuff like that. I haven't covered the things like whenever you have a disc, it's always considered to be on the lower tier. So this over here, because it's touching the line, is a 5. It's not a 10, it's a 5. If it's touching the line over here, then it's straight up off. And rules like that, but past that, that's basically how you play Crokinole. Which means it's time for my review. Why do I like this game so much? It's basically a dexterity game. All you're doing is you're flicking discs, trying to land them into the hole. I need some more sand over here on the board. You have a little sand that you put on the board, which lets you mark up your discs and give them a little bit more glide. There we go, a bit more, but they need a bit more. This hasn't been used in a little too long. But basically, why do I like Crokinole so much? Because that's going to be the format of the review. There's not going to be a whole what I like, what I don't like, what I can see others not liking. This is just going to be about why I like a game that is so dexterity oriented in a world full of dexterity games that I usually don't care about, and this is almost a weird sport. It's almost more of a sport than a board game, yet it's in the Board Game Geek Top 100. I think it's ranked 47 if I'm not mistaken. That is a strong testament to a game that's basically flicking little wooden discs across the board, trying to land discs into the center to get those 20 points. And the basic idea is that it's calming. There's something straightforward about Crokinole. There's something social about Crokinole. The ability to people to sit down on the table, whether it's you and your friend, whether it's a bunch of friends, there's something social about the idea of just sitting down, taking little shots, lining things up, trying to get that perfect hole, having things bounce off. You're going to have little times where things bounce off. Well, that wasn't the right kind of bouncing. You have moments where things bounce off different things and ricochet around, hitting other pucks, landing into the hole. There's something calming about the process of shooting something that glides perfectly along a waxed wooden surface as you try to get those 20 points. There's something weirdly soothing and comforting around the nature of just sitting down and playing 2 hours straight of Crokinole, of just enjoying yourself, of just having that aspect of, again, the human connection of people at the table. You will inevitably find yourself in conversations with people because you're just shooting discs. How much focus do you really need? It's a good time to note I don't play tournament play, so I should note that. I don't really play tournaments. I have played in non-competitive tournaments, but nothing official, any serious stakes at play, and that enables me to have fun, to be able to enjoy myself, to take those shots. There's something satisfying but the way Crokinole gives you those 20 pointers, about the way you set up a teammate for a perfect shot, about the way you bounce a disc off something else as it makes a way in. There's something great about the feeling of getting better at Crokinole, of practicing trick shots, something you can do. I shouldn't be doing this on camera right now because I'll probably mess up. It's been a while since I did this trick shot, but there's fun little things. You can take a stack of discs over here, line up over here, and then practice your shots so you can hopefully, if this works right, let's see if there we go. See how I just shot one out from the bottom, and then get another one out, and then get another one out, and then lastly, get another one. There's something satisfying about lining up trick shots, whether it's for practice or the actual game state requiring it, trying to figure out the right combination, the right amount of pressure, the right amount of ricochet, and watching your skills slowly improve in the game, because your skills will slowly improve in the game. This is not a game you start off being good at. This is a game where maybe you land that lucky 20, maybe you're flicking it with real force. Something I find that's actually similar with Crokinole and Pool is that sense of force that's present with new players that slowly eases off as you get better. The idea that you ricochet hard across the board as you desperately try to shoot something with force, and then you learn the sense of control, which tends to actually make you a drop worse at first as you move from force to control, but ends up with you being a better player as you go through it. I don't know why Crokinole is so well received. I can't tell you what makes this game different than playing something like not Flick Car, it's called, oh my gosh, Pitch Car, or other dexterity-based games that definitely have been well received. Make no mistake, Pitch Car is a very well-rated, very well-loved game, but no dexterity game has given me the soothing sense of calm that a game like Crokinole gives me. That sense of satisfaction with a set of rules that takes 3-4 minutes to get people up and running. You can just sit down and start flicking discs. You can do so because you're playing a game, or you can do so because you're just trying to work on landing that perfect 20 as you figure out how to improve your shots in this game. It's satisfying. I don't know how to describe this game differently. It's a satisfying, calming experience that rewards developed skill, and somehow, despite being almost more adjacent to a sport than a board game, is received as a board game, is viewed as a tabletop dexterity game, where players can sit down against each other, either as teams or just one-on-one, and slowly just figure out how to line up the perfect shot. Crokinole is an incredibly satisfying gaming experience. It might not be for you. It won't be for everyone. At the end of the day, the entire game is flicking discs. But what I would say is this. If you find yourself dismissive of the game, if you find yourself wondering if it is or isn't a game for you, then I recommend just finding a table at a tournament sometime, or finding a table at a convention sometime, or a friend's house, sitting down, taking a few shots, and seeing whether the magic works its way on you. It hasn't worked for everyone I know, but a good portion of my game group, a good portion of my friends, have all been enraptured with the experience that Crokinole provides. And weirdly enough, it's an experience like no other. Well, there's Carome out there, but I've never played Carome, so I don't know exactly how different or similar they are. But it is a very unique, very rewarding, very calming experience. Now the downside I'm not going to get into things I don't like, because there's not much I don't like about Crokinole, but there's a downside that's worth mentioning. And the downside is that Crokinole is not a cheap game to get into. You can get affordable boards from Mayday Games often for in that $99 to $150 price range once you factor in shipping and all that. That means your affordable entry point board is around $130 to $150. That is not a small amount of money for an entry point, not even the ideal way to play Crokinole. In my opinion, having played with Mayday boards and having played with other boards, in my opinion, the more premium boards will reward you with that feeling of being a more premium board. This board is from Tracy Boards. This video is not sponsored. This board is from Tracy Boards, and it is, to me, the best board I've played with. But I have tried other premium board companies, and they have been great. For me, I do highly recommend finding a premium board if you find yourself wanting to really dive into the sport, the hobby, the game of Crokinole. But I do also recommend you try it before you go out and spend $300. And I do think the Mayday boards have merit. I should say that as well. I think if you find yourself looking at Kickstarter or retail, whatever it is, if you find yourself looking at an affordable board, I do recommend it might be something that's worth engaging in if you're just not someone who's willing to go that high. I still think they'll provide an enjoyable experience. But I do think that the best way to play Crokinole is on a premium board that will not be cheap, but will hopefully give you something beautiful, something enjoyable, something calming, and something that provides a little bit of social bonding at the same time. I love this game. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. As far as recommendations, I'd go with Pitch Car and Carome, I guess. Pitch Car is great. It's a little more gamified, but a little less what I like out of the game of Crokinole. And Carome I've heard good things about, but I haven't actually tried it myself. In any case, then until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.